Hi, and welcome to the Living My Life Like It's Golden podcast. I'm your host, Louisa Larado, and on today's episode, I want to discuss what is spoken about so often at the moment, which is cost of living and the pressures of inflation, and just how everything is more expensive in general, and the impact this is having on you and your money. And also, I want to show you how you can break through this cycle and empower you to finish 2024 in a strong financial position and then start creating these great lifelong habits you can start to make sure 2025 starts in a financially amazing position for you. So stay tuned for all those tips. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And I thought this was a really important topic to discuss because cost of living, inflation, it's all so many people have been speaking about for the last year or so. And I understand because I'm there too. I know how much more expensive my groceries are now, how more my bills are now. And it does put a lot of pressure on you. And you have a couple of options in this situation right now. You can decide that it's all too hard and then it's going to be a struggle and money's going to be stressful and keep doing what you're doing. And if that's working for you, if that makes you feel good, then that's fine. Don't change anything. But if you are feeling like crap when you're doing that, if you're feeling constantly stressed or worried, or you're feeling maybe like your finances are overtaking you at the moment, you don't have that control, like your money is the one controlling you rather than the other way around, then I want you to keep listening because I've got some really good simple tips and switches you can start doing just to help you take back that control of your finances to ensure that you are ending this year in a really good financial situation without that stress and struggle and worry about your money. Now, it's also scary because yesterday it was exactly 2 months till Christmas. And I know for a lot of people this time of year, the lead up, there's so many, extra events happening. There's a lot of extra expenses that you're going to be expecting over the next couple of months. So I really want you to be geared up to tackle that with empowerment and just set you up for success. So what I found when I was stuck in struggle mode, and which is where a lot of you most probably are right now, if you are feeling that pressure and that financial strain, is once you decide it's going to be a struggle and you just sort of succumb to it and you don't see a way out when you're stuck, I guess, that's when, you're just going to keep repeating these patterns. It's like you're on this hamster wheel. You can't get off it. So, for example, when I went through my bankruptcy a few years ago, I was in that mode 100% because I literally had to go from having nothing. So I understand financial struggle. I understand money stress 100% because I've been there in the most extreme ways where, at one point did not have enough money to pay for groceries for our family for that week if we made our mortgage repayments. So I know the struggle mode because when we were there, it put a lot of strain on relationships because everyone is worried when you're not in a good headspace. And, you and your partner might be arguing over money or just trying to figure out how it's all going to work. It put a strain on things like having a decent night's sleep because if you're more worried about money, then you're not going to be sleeping well. And these are all things that were happening for me. So I just remember getting to a point and thinking, there has to be another way. Even after we'd filed for bankruptcy and we had like $0 left and had to rebuild again, I didn't even want to think about actually finding a solution. So we stayed in that cycle. And even though, we had this clean slate and we were earning money again and we could start rebuilding, I decided that money was going to be hard for us. And it was. So it didn't matter how much money we earned, we would live paycheck to paycheck. And it was making that decision, I found, that I need to find another way. This just isn't working. And it's not always about how can you earn more money? How can you create additional money? Do you need to have an extra job? Do I need to manage my money better? I mean, they're parts of it, but it really comes down to making that decision first that there needs to be something that's going to shift here. There needs to be a path that I can take that's going to get me to where I want to be headed. And for me, it took a lot of making mistakes to figure this out. Like, I'm talking a few years of trying different things and learning different, making a whole load of mistakes. And when I decided that, okay, this is it, this isn't serving our family, being stressed about money, always telling my kids that money's going to run out, that we don't have enough money, we can't afford those things. Not only was I passing those stories and those messages down to my kids because that was what I was putting out there, that's all that would continue to happen. So what I found instead, when I decided this is it, we are enough is enough, we're going to start looking now at how we can not only rebuild our finances, but fix all that mindset stuff as well. That really was what was holding us back. Because when you don't have the right money mindset, it's like you are looking through the world with the wrong glasses prescription on. So nothing is clear. And, you try the right prescription on and all of a sudden everything comes into focus. And, the next steps are a lot clearer for you. And that's what I found when I started doing the work around my mindset, that was when things started to shift for me. And that's why I always speak about it on this podcast, because mindset is literally the foundation to every single thing. And it's not just money, it's every single aspect of your life. So how does this apply to inflation right now and cost of living and just trying to get ahead when we feel like we are drowning, a lot of us? And, that doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve your family when you are feeling that way. So a few really simple shifts you can start to do. Firstly is just to, number one, make the decision that you're ready for something different to come into your life. Sometimes just declaring that and making that decision, as easy as it sounds, can be the foundation. But what has to happen when you make that decision is that you may need to step out of your comfort zone to take actions to get you to where you want to be. And what your brain is in right now, if you are in that stress and worry and struggle mode with your money, you are in that sort of fight or flight mode. And that's because our brains have not really changed that much since the caveman days. So any sort of stress or strain or struggle that we put on, we perceive in the same way as being chased by a lion. So our brain automatically goes into that stress mode. Our brain's filled with cortisol, which is that stress hormone, which means that our judgment is impaired. It means that we can't clearly focus on all the solutions. We're just focused on one thing, and it's that tunnel vision. So when you actually make that decision, it's almost like you are declaring to your brain, okay, I'm going to try something new. What's going to happen though, when you decide to try something new, is you're going to have all these stories pop up in your brain to say, this is why you can't do it. This is why you're going to fail. Because again, your brain's trying to protect you. It's trying to keep you safe. It's going to keep you in that little bubble of your comfort zone where you can't see how you're going to get there, because your brain doesn't want you to take any risks. So it's going to try and protect you at all costs. And this normally takes the path of like this little voice in your head that says, oh, but you don't earn enough money, or that works for her, but it's not going to work for you. So don't be surprised if you hear this little voice popping up and telling you a million different excuses why you shouldn't. So what you need to do then next, so first make the decision, see what comes up for you. When all this stuff comes up, these ideas, these beliefs, these limitations that come up for you, and they will, then just acknowledge them, write them down. And once you've got your list of, it might be a long one or it might be a short one, even if it's just a couple, then what I want you then next to do is start looking for evidence why that is not true. Because right now you're looking through this wrong prescription glasses, so you can only see the proof of all these beliefs that you've just had pop up in your head. But when you change that prescription and you have that clear focus now, what you'll start to notice is actually there's evidence for the alternative. So let's say the thing that keeps popping up for me is I'm bad with money. And in my brain right now, all I can see is exactly why I was bad with money. I was late to pay that bill. I spent way more than I should have at the shops and so on. So I'm, finding all this evidence to support that belief. Okay, well, now I want you to stop and think, well, what have I done that can tell me otherwise, that tells me actually I am good with money? And then you start listing down the evidence of times that you were actually good with money, even if it's only a couple. And then that's what you start focusing on again. And this is one of that ways that you can start to slowly retrain your brain. There's this amazing thing that scientists have found called neuroplasticity, which means our brain can be rewired. It can be changed. We can reprogram it to suit what we want. So if you are done with struggle, then you need to start putting the training in to rewire your brain the other way. So start looking for evidence. So a big one that probably comes up for you right now is if you are struggling with all this money expenses and cost of living is, I just can't get ahead. I just can't get ahead. And maybe that's true right now. Maybe that is true right now. But when you start again, look for evidence of the ladder. When were times where you could get ahead, even if things have changed now? Where were times where you felt really good and inspired and empowered by money? Just write them down. It's not a judgment exercise. It's just acknowledging it and start focusing on the new beliefs. And even if you don't have evidence of that yet in your life, like if you can't think of a single time where you were empowered and did well with money, then look for evidence of other people who are doing it. And if they can do it, why can't you? So you've got your decision. You're starting to acknowledge all the beliefs and ideas that are going to come up with you. Next, I want you to start thinking of, well, what do you want to have instead? What's the alternative? What is the goal that you want to work towards? So especially now, I suggest starting with a really small goal to start off with, or something that's sort of achievable for you but may seem a little bit out of reach. So a really good one, and I'll speak a bit more about this at the end, but I've got a $2,000 cash boost for Christmas challenge. So let's say that was our goal, that we were saving up $2,000 by the 25th of December. So that's just over less than 2 months away. So I've got my goal, I've got my focus, and now I'm going to start looking for ways that I could start putting actions into place that are going to get me to that goal. And just having that focus, sometimes you might not have any idea how you're going to get there. You might think, there is no way, I don't have a cent extra to spare before my next pay comes in. Everything's taken up on bills and expenses. But you will be surprised when you have that clear focus and you've made this a priority in your life, that things will start to change and things will start to shift and things will start to show up that you did not know before. So having that clear focus and making it a priority, that's going to start to create all this momentum. Like a really good example is this year I completely overhauled my diet. Like the last few years, I went from being quite a healthy person to everything was too hard. I couldn't be bothered and I just ate whatever and I felt like crap all the time. And I knew there were certain foods that I shouldn't be eating, but they were just like my favorite foods, like all the gluten and sugar. And I knew that I shouldn't be eating those foods, but I just didn't see how I could shift that. I didn't see how I had the time to prioritize anything else in my life because my life was so busy. I'm working, I've got my kids, their first priority at the time, and I'd always put myself last. And it wasn't until I thought, you know what, enough is enough, and I need to make my health a priority. I need to make myself feel good again. And I decided that I was going to make healthy eating a priority. And even though I thought I had not a single second in my day spare to meal prep and do all the extra foods, and even if it meant me making something separate for myself or my kids, because they're a bit fussy, which is annoying, but anyway, I knew that I couldn't make those excuses anymore. I had to make it a priority. And when I made that decision and I was like, this is my goal, and it wasn't a goal about losing weight, it was just more about feeling better about myself and that confidence and just feeling energy again and not feeling so tired. And when I decided that and I was very clear on why I wanted that to happen, then it was easy. Somehow the time magically appeared and, I found the right meal plan that worked for me and it became easy. It just became a normal part of my life and I haven't looked back since and I don't miss sugar or gluten anymore, surprisingly. But same goes for your money. So if you decide this is what I want to focus on, this is my priority, this is why I want to make this a priority, it is amazing what will show up for you. But if you don't try and you don't take those first few steps, then that's going to be tricky for you. So they're the first few things I want you to do. So firstly, make the decision that you want things to change. Second, start acknowledging beliefs that might be coming up to stop you. Third, set a goal, really an explicit goal, clear goal that you know you can achieve but maybe a bit out of reach. 4, make it a priority. Now, the last thing I want you to start doing is thinking about becoming a bit more aware of your money that you currently have coming into your life. So I know when I went bankrupt, for the first year or so after my bankruptcy, I just didn't even want to think about it because when money is hard, when money is a struggle, you don't want to focus on managing it. Or for me anyway, I didn't. I wanted to have that ignorance is bliss mindset about money because it all was too hard. I decided money was too hard. So I didn't really know how much money was coming in versus how much is going out. I knew roughly, how much we needed, but I wasn't 100% clear on it. I didn't know how much was going to come out with bills each month, or I just hoped that there would be enough money in it all the time. And we were constantly going over. Our money was overdrawn. We'd have a bit of savings, and then we'd have to go into that all the time. And the next step then was, just becoming aware of your money. So you are clear, really, this is how much I've got coming in. This is how much is going out. And then once you're clear on incomings and outgoings, and it's not to budget, it's not to feel restricted and tight and confined to money and think, oh crap, that's all I have coming in. How am I going to afford for everything? It's becoming clear because once you do this exercise, you become more empowered by your money because you're like, I know exactly what I've got coming in. I know pretty much what's going to be coming out. And you can look for areas. And when you do this exercise too, you'll start to notice any money areas that you might be paying for stuff that you think, actually, I don't need that service. I don't need that subscription. I don't need to subscribe to Netflix and Stan and Disney and all the things. Maybe one of them's enough, or maybe not. I don't need any of them. Maybe it's something that is, you have subscriptions that you might have signed up to. And a really good one of this is just to go through on your phones and see in your account if there's any subscriptions that you're paying, like annual subscriptions. I had so many that I was paying for that I hadn't used for the last couple of years, but then I'd forget about it and then the money would automatically come out again. So just becoming aware of all your money, incomings, outgoings, and then thinking about maybe stuff that isn't serving you right now that you can let go of. And then that money instead, you can maybe start diverting to whatever your savings goal was that you set up. So it's not even about earning more money, but it's about just being really clear. It all comes down to being clear and then prioritizing. And these few little steps that I've shared with you, that's just going to help you be a bit more empowered, be a bit more inspired by your money and start to feel like you are the one in control of your money and it is not the one in control of you. So if you want to take this even further, then tomorrow I'm going to be starting my 3-day Cash Boost by Christmas challenge. And the whole point of the challenge is to help you, give you the exact roadmap, skills, tools, strategies you need to save an extra $2,000 in time for Christmas. So I'll be going into a lot more detail than what I shared with you on the podcast today. And I will be giving you, the exact exercises and strategies that I've taken years to try and figure out through making a whole lot of mistakes. So now I've found a much quicker way to get to this goal. Because this time of year, I really just want you to feel really good about your money. I want you to feel inspired and empowered. And it's going to be a fun time of year coming up to it. There's so many good events going on, and I don't want you to feel like you have to miss out or say no because you can't afford it. I don't want you to feel like when you're spending money for your loved ones at Christmas that, I've got to spend this and that restriction. And Or even worse, I don't want you to think I'm just going to chuck it all on a credit card and worry about it in the new year. I want you to feel like, yes, I can do this right now. I've accounted for all this. The money is there, ready to go. And I'm inspired and I can spend and it be fun, because it should be a fun time of year. It's all about connection and love and coming together and giving and celebrating. So why should you feel that stress and strain? Or do all that and then post Christmas, Boxing Day, or in the new year, wake up with the post Christmas money hangover of thinking, oh my gosh, now how am I going to get back on track? Or I've got so far into debt, or in my, dipped into my savings, and now I feel like crap about my money again. So that's not what I want you to end this year with. The stuff I'm going to be teaching you as well over the 3 days, it will give you lifelong habits that you can start 2025 with a real head start with your finances, because the tools I'm giving you, it doesn't just apply for Christmas, it applies for life. It's completely free to do this challenge. You just need to make sure you're registered so you can get the links to the Zoom workshops that will be happening. They're 1 hour each day. And if you want even more than that, then there's also a VIP experience. And in addition to the 1 hour challenge each day, you'll get a exclusive Q&A session with me for an hour after each of the challenge days. And there's also a few exclusive bonuses in there if you want to be a bit more, go a bit more in depth into this challenge and have a few more strategies and more coaching personalized to your own needs. And that might be for you. Otherwise, the free event, you will still get everything you need to reach that $2,000 goal just in time for Christmas and feel great about your money, because that's how you should be feeling. So if you are interested, if you want to learn more, or if you want to save your free seat, you just need to head to louisalarado.com/challenge, or you'll find the link in the show notes. And also, if you can't make any of the challenge days live, you'll have access to the replay of every single session too. So it doesn't matter if you can't make it live, but you can still take part in the challenge and join our supportive community where we'll all be sharing our wins and successes with this challenge. It's going to be great. So thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode and you know someone else may benefit from it, please feel free to share it. Make sure you're following along to the Living My Life Like It's Golden podcast. And if you have anything you want to share, leave me a review or a comment, and I can't wait to hear from you. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you on the next episode.